They told you America was where dreams came true. Work hard, stay focused, everything would eventually fall into place. But nobody told you what that dream would really cost. It started with a promise wrapped in ambition, a degree, career, a comfortable life. That was the formula they sold you. Borrow now, succeed later, and like millions, you believed it. Then came the bills.
Before you forget, the ebook that can change how you learn is in the first pinned comment. Click now to unlock it.
Bills that multiplied faster than your paycheck ever could. Rent kept rising even when your effort did too. Groceries became calculations instead of choices. Every swipe of that card felt harmless, until harmless became habitual, and habitual became invisible debt. You were earning more, but breathing less. That's when the dream quietly turned into survival. No one tells you how quiet financial stress really is. It doesn't scream. It whispers every day. And the whispers slowly become pressure. Pressure that reshapes every decision you make. You stop thinking long-term and start surviving short-term. That's how the system quietly locks you in. Not with chains, but with obligations. By the time you notice it, it already owns your time. Time you thought was yours slowly gets sold, and you call it stability. But stability without freedom is just another trap. Some people never escape it, not because they can't, but because they don't see the pattern. Because the system doesn't look like a system. It looks like life, feels like choice, but most of it is programmed behavior. Buy, work, pay, repeat. And the more you repeat it, the more normal it feels, until comfort becomes dependency. That's where awareness usually ends, because seeing the trap doesn't automatically free you from it. Most people don't realize they're trapped while they're still inside it. They just call it life. But life without questioning is just repetition. And repetition is where wealth never grows. Only effort without direction creates exhaustion. That's the hidden tax of the modern dream. Work more, earn more, lose more time, and somewhere along the way, you stop noticing what you lost. Friends fade, hobbies disappear, time collapses, and all that remains is obligation. The American dream didn't fail you. You were just never shown the full picture, because the system doesn't need you to see it clearly. It only needs you to keep moving, until one day you start questioning the noise, and silence becomes your first moment of clarity. Not escape, but awareness, because awareness is where change begins. Not with motivation, but with structure. The same system that trapped you can be understood, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. That's the real turning point, not when you escape, but when you understand. Because understanding changes how you move. You stop reacting and start building, step by step, system by system. That's how freedom actually starts. Not with luck, but with clarity. Most people never reach this moment. They stay inside the cycle, thinking it's normal. But normal is not the same as right. And right there, you understand the difference. The truth was never hidden, just ignored. Because distraction is profitable, and awareness is rare, because it slows consumption. That's why most people never stop. They are moving, but not progressing. And progress requires breaking pattern. Breaking pattern always feels uncomfortable at first, because comfort is designed to keep you still, and stillness is where change begins.
Comment below if you're staying until the end. What's coming will reveal the hidden shift most people miss. The one that turns confusion into surprising clarity and results.
Not big decisions, but small, consistent ones. That's how systems are rebuilt, step by step, without noise. And that's where the real freedom starts. Most people think freedom is a destination, but it's actually a direction most people never choose, because choosing differently costs attention. And attention is what the system constantly buys. Not your labor, your attention. And whoever controls that, controls everything else. That's why most people stay stuck without realizing it. Not because they lack opportunity, but because they lack interruption. Because interruption creates awareness, and awareness creates choice, and choice is where most people hesitate, because hesitation feels safer than change. But hesitation always has a cost, and the cost is usually time you can't get back. That's what most people misunderstand about success. It's not about doing more. It's about removing what doesn't matter and focusing only on what compounds. That's how the real game is played. Not louder, just clearer. Not faster, just intentional. Because intention is what breaks cycles. And cycles are what most people never question. But once you see the cycle, you can step outside it. Most people think they're choosing, but they're reacting. And reaction is where most value gets extracted. Time, money, attention. Everything follows what you pay attention to. And most people never control that input. That's why the cycle continues. Not because it's strong, but because it's invisible. Invisibility is what makes it powerful. Because what you don't notice, you don't resist. And what you don't resist shapes you, slowly, without permission. That's how most lives are designed. But design can be understood. And what is understood can be changed. Not instantly, but deliberately. Every small action becomes structure, and structure becomes direction. Direction is what most people are missing. Not opportunity, but clarity. Because opportunity without clarity becomes distraction. And distraction is the most expensive habit in modern life. Costs money, time, and direction. And most people only notice it when it's too late. Not because they were careless, but because they were never taught. So they copy what they see. And what they see is often broken. A system that rewards speed and not direction. Speed feels like progress, but it isn't always. Real progress is almost invisible at first, because it compounds quietly, while distraction compounds faster and silently. That's the real competition. And most people never realize they're competing at all. They think it's individual struggle, but it's actually collective programming. And programming doesn't feel like control. It feels like normal life. And that's exactly why it works. Because what feels normal rarely gets questioned. And what's not questioned becomes invisible. That's the edge most people never cross. But the few who do change everything. Not by force, but by awareness. Awareness changes what you tolerate. And what you tolerate becomes your life. That's the real shift. Not motivation, transformation. Transformation doesn't announce itself. It compounds quietly in repetition. And repetition becomes identity. That's when everything starts to shift. Not suddenly, but permanently. And that permanence is built, not found. Built in moments nobody celebrates. Because progress is rarely visible in real time. It only becomes obvious in hindsight. That's why discipline beats intensity. Intensity fades, discipline stays, and discipline is built in silence. Not in announcements, but in repetition. And repetition is what rewires everything. Until one day, it feels natural. And when it feels natural, you stop negotiating with yourself. That's where control really begins. Not control over others, but over patterns. Because patterns decide outcomes. And outcomes decide reality. And reality is built one decision at a time. Most people underestimate small decisions, but they accumulate faster than big ones, until they become your life. That's why awareness is everything.